Bangladesh have accused South Africa of sledging. Not just any sledging, uh, unbearable sledging, quoting them exactly. So, when the whole ball tampering scandal happened, there were a few words said by Faf du Plessis about the way people want to go forward with things. So, we're going to be chatting about that on today's show. We're going to be talking about the news, what we've seen in the news today. There's multiple things that have happened that we can speak about. You know that there's a one-day cup final happening currently. IPL today as well. Diego Brevas have made his debut. So there's quite a few that we need to get through today. I will also read out some of your comments and have conversations with you. Just wait a minute. My light is messing up here. Okay, cool, that's better. So we will chat about all of that on today's show. So smash the like button, please, guys. Get involved. Subscribe to this channel. Click that notification bell for all future videos as well. But also don't forget to subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free every single month in your inbox. So just go ahead. The link is on the screen and in the description. Get involved right now. Become a patron as well. The link is on the screen as well as in the description for that. And that's how you guys help us keep the lights on, and etc. etc. Also go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all updates. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. It's a lot to cover, guys, so bear with me. We're obviously going to start with the main story. So let's get straight into today's video. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host, Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. Now, I had to remember that because I haven't said that in a hell of a long time. It's always been previews, reviews. So this is the daily show again, once again, which I haven't had the chance to say that intro in quite some time. So I enjoyed doing that for a change. Aditya's with us now. Welcome to the show, bro. I'm smiling. I'm happy. A lot of good news has happened today for me. So personally, so I'm in a good mood from that perspective. Not only from a perspective, there's a lot of things. Doctor Strange tickets booked for the opening night. All of those type of things. You must remember that. And there's obviously there's Machine Gun Kelly, and he's doing well. This album's going to #1, and there's the one day cup final. There was some good cricket. Diego Brevas making his debut for Mumbai. So there's so much to cover. So let me just go back and rewind. Let's start with the main topic, and that is the topic about sledging. Now, I'll first read you the quotes on what's happened and some updates as well on what's happening for the test series as well, leading up to the second test, because we will be doing our preview for tomorrow's game. Not tomorrow's game, so we'll be doing the preview tomorrow for the game. So stay tuned on this platform for the preview of the second test. There will be a lot we're going to cover in that one. But the main headline is here because they surrounded. This is what the captain of Bangladesh said. He said they surrounded Hassan Joy when we went out to bat. They were saying something. He couldn't say anything back since he is a junior player. It was deplorable. Instead of controlling the situation, the umpires warned our players whenever we made complaints against the sledging. Sledging definitely took place from both sides, but when they started, they took it overboard. We complained to the umpires. It wasn't acceptable. We probably condemn it. We have to accept the umpires' decisions, but the ICC must reinstate neutral umpires, and that's what they had to say. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Sledging and sledging in the game in general. Now, I'm of the opinion, a long conversation with someone this morning, someone that has worked with Cricket Fanatics Magazine as well, one of our writers, and we had a long conversation about this. Me and Ongama, actually, I'll just let you know the name. So we both had a discussion about this, and then I spoke to Aditya afterwards as well about it, because I wanted to see what this topic is about, is if it's worthwhile talking about, and I think it is, because the reason I say this is because of what happened in the ball tampering scandal. Now, I covered that tour, and I heard a lot going down. So especially in PE, especially Durban, in all the venues actually, until Newlands. So leading up to that Newlands test when the ball tampering happened, both tests there was a lot of sledging happening from both sides. Now we know that specifically there was when Aiden scored his 150 in PE, when everything was going crazy with the Sunnable stuff and everything. Sorry, in Durban. Sorry, when he was in Durban, that's when the sledging started. And Aiden did really well in that match, and he was really getting abuse from the Australians. And there was talk about crossing the line and going over the line with regards to sledging, because of the sledging that happened um, towards David Warner and David Warner's wife and Quentin de Kock and all of those type of things. And Sunnable Williams was thrown into the mix, and it was considered as going over or stepping over the line, because apparently there were things said to Aiden. Quinny got irritated, said something to David Warner, and also they were saying things about David, about Quinny as well, apparently, and using his surname in a derogatory manner. It's not very difficult to do that. So there was a lot of things that they were doing with regards to that perspective, and there was a lot of sledging happening. And Australia is known for that. They're known to get under people's skin. They're known to be the way they are. And Faf actually came out and he said that's not the way they want to play the cricket. That's not the way they want to go forward. Sledging's okay, but they don't want to get personal, and that's that they feel that people cross the line. Smith spoke about it in that press conference before they admitted to ball tampering, and they ball tampered. He spoke about it, and he said, yeah, it's crossing the line and it shouldn't go personal and all of these type of things. So where is the line when it comes to sledging? I wanna know whether it should be eradicated, because a question came up about
Otis Gibson had the same question. Where is the line? Who drew it?
whose line is it anyway? So like we don't know where the line is. We don't know who drew the line. I remember that press so clearly when he said that. And I remember sitting in the front row laughing and trying to keep my laugh in while I'm recording the presser. So it was difficult for me. Luckily, the mic was on the table, so they couldn't pick up my laugh. But when it comes to this specifically, there was a so me and Ogama had a conversation. I'm not going to bring up who said what, but basically the topic came out about when we noticed when we were talking about teams that deserve. If you need to deserve to sledge, do you need to be at a certain level before you have the right to sledge the opposition? Now I want to talk to you about that, Aditya. What is your thoughts on that?
Look, I think if you're talking about, just general banter, stuff like, you know, come on, boys, we got a wicket here, four down, and we've won the series 2-0. That's fine. But, if you're discharging profanities, then I think that's a problem because, these are cricketers representing 60 million people, and you don't want them setting that example for aspiring cricketers. So I'm not one for foul language, although I do understand that sometimes in the heat of the moment, you're playing for your country, there's a lot of pressure and it happens. That's okay. And I think that's also where the broadcasters need to be smart about when to have the stump mics on and when not to. It's working well
Hmm.
for them because it's entertainment. There are more people, you know, gluing into the television sets. That's fine, but I do think you need to be a bit smart about that. Um, with respect to sledging, look, I don't know what like earning your right to sledge would would mean for a cricketer, right? Like, how do you define that? That's also a line. So how do you know you've earned your right? When you're like
Hmm.
you've cemented your place in the team, or you've played 50 tests or 100 tests. I think cricket cricket is it's I mean it's an interesting sport in that you have like two players who are representing one team, and they have like there are like nine others around those two players. So there is that imbalance in there is that imbalance in the sport, right? Where two players are basically taking on 11 players, and it works that way for both teams. So yeah, I don't know, but I think if you talk about this specific topic with respect to this series, it would be interesting to it would be interesting to get the South African perspective, because in this series or in previous series, I haven't really heard South Africa cross the line in that sense. Yeah, I know Rassie van der Dussen was chirping Rishabh Pant a little bit, but none of that was abuse, as far as I know.
And
So
same for me. I mean, they singled out. There's been a single out. That's why I put Sarel on the cover, because there was apparently an occasion that I missed actually, when Sarel was having a
yeah,
little bit of a go, but I missed that interaction. So I don't know if you guys saw it in the live chat. If you guys can maybe say what you saw there, and because I missed that part. Um,
yeah,
and yeah, so I didn't get to see that. So I didn't know about
yeah.
this until I saw the reports about it afterwards. Ultimately, because I
And
didn't know
and
that.
if someone's watched the footage, if they can tell us what was said exactly and where the
Yeah.
controversy comes from, because the footage that I've seen so far, there hasn't really been anything out of the ordinary, so
Mm,
to speak. And
yeah.
the other thing is,
Because
I hope,
he spoke. He specifically highlighted when Joy was batting
yeah,
and when they were surrounding him. So that was obviously then when was that in the first was that in the first innings or the second innings? Because I know he went out quite quickly in the second. So it wouldn't have been enough time in the second innings. So it has to have obviously been in the first innings
yeah,
that this happened.
yeah. And the other thing is, um, see, I don't know. Um, one thing that is tricky here is that I hope there isn't a misunderstanding due to language. Because obviously there's significantly different cultures, and um, if there's a lack of familiarity with the language that is spoken, then that shouldn't be construed as sledging. I think you have to be very careful with that sort of stuff. Um,
Hmm. Look here, there's comments coming in over here from a couple of guys now. Lorenzo saying, I don't know if you noticed, but Sarel even chirped teams while he was on the sidelines without any test caps. let's let's be honest. In SA team ever do chirping, he also did against KL at Wanderers in second innings. Interesting, because I wouldn't take Sarel ever for Sledger. Like maybe I've got it completely wrong altogether. Sarah was sledging for sure. I haven't seen it. Couldn't hear it. It was in the first innings. So
no,
interesting. So I
no
made it.
wonder Elga thinks. No wonder Elga thinks of him as a team man and wants him, first on the pecking order there.
Because he loves it that Sarah can get out. Okay, that's interesting.
That's hilarious.
After this series, I'm gonna get Sarah on the show. I have to, and I'm gonna ask him about it. Because he never came across as a guy that does that to me. In my opinion, from what I've seen with the struggles he's gone through in his career, I never, I've never seen. I would have never thought that would be Sarel. Like I thought it could be anybody else but him. But apparently so, and so I guess I got the thumbnail right then in that case. But I mean, come on,
I,
I feel
I must say
currently
one
that.
thing though. I
Hmm?
must say one thing. It's a bit of a digression, but I have to say this. So KL Rahul, who was captain in the Johannesburg Test match, right? So he
It's a great one.
so KL Rahul, um, he was captain in the Johannesburg Test match, right? And he was in Bombay for a couple of days after that series, and he was staying in the same building that my friend lives in. So KL was working out in the gym, and my friend spoke to KL, and he's basically complimenting him on his batting and captaincy and all
Hmm.
of that, and saying stuff like, how do you remain so
Very true.
calm and all that. So they're having a bit of that conversation, and one of the key comments that KL made was that sometimes on TV there's a lot of stuff that you don't see, that actually happens on the field.
Mm.
And a lot of our responses that you do see on the field are responses that happen to stuff that is
That
not
happened.
normally
Oh.
televised.
Mm.
And I,
Interesting.
given that what we're seeing in the comment section here about Cyril sledging while he was on the sidelines is just hilarious, and I feel like that's
Yeah.
where KL is coming from.
Yeah, it's a good point because I mean, you don't notice these things. Like, I mean, even if I'm at a live game and I'm watching a game live and I'm sitting quite a distance from the field where the action's happening, I don't necessarily always hear the sledging. And yet there was a massive thing that happened against Western Province and the Lions at Newlands, for example, between the two teams that I never knew about until after the match. Like, we didn't notice. We just saw them going towards the umpire, but we weren't sure that whether it was or something wrong or whether they were just inquiring about something because it didn't look like anything was happening necessarily. And then I found out after the game that there was maybe things that were happening between players. So it's interesting that you say that because there are some things that happen that we maybe don't see. I mean, look at the David Warner situation. The thing got out of control as they were walking off the field. So the game was the session was done. So all the action actually happened in the tunnel. So if we never had any footage of that, we would have never known that there was a squabble in the changing rooms or outside the changing rooms. So unless so yeah, unfortunately that's just the case with these type of things. But if they were saying that, I mean, I know they're making they made a few allegations about things. They also mentioned the umpires saying that they were they weren't neutral as well. So it seemed like excuses to me at first because I was like, the game was in Bangladesh's hands. Um, I felt leading into their second innings. I thought after they pulled South Africa out for 174, I mean 274, I really thought that they would have had the ability to be able to chase that down. So especially the way they looked in the first match, in the first inning, sorry. So I honestly thought that they would have that South Africa were in a difficult spot and they needed to bowl really, really, really well to win that game. And then they bowled out of their skins completely. So I don't know. Um, what was said because I wish they they release it and tell us, but obviously they're not. So we won't know whether it was over the line or not. It will be interesting if someone asks that question. They probably will in the press conference tomorrow. Dean Alger will be doing his press conference. So obviously, I'm pretty sure someone's going to ask him that question in the presser tomorrow and ask him about the sledging and stuff if he felt, because he's talking a lot about aggression and trying to become number one and being ruthless and all of those type of things. I assume that was all had to do with the style of play and attitude with the ball and bat, and not necessarily also in the field with sledging. Maybe he meant that too. Um, I mean, Trevor said over here. I saw earlier on. Let me just try and find. Here we go. I really want SA. I really want SA to do more chirping. I want to suggest that to them playing that they must play hard and intimidating, aggressive brand of cricket. And that does sound juicy to me. It does sound interesting to me to play that style of cricket. But it depends on what type of team you want to be known as. We know New Zealand have come out and said, we want to play the game in a good spirit. We know that Australia, when they came out after the ball tampering, they had the good guy vibe and the whole shaking of the hands before the test. That was incredible. It was crazy. It felt like a football Premier League match or national football match. So it was a bit weird. They even said that they want to take some of those respectful gestures like you see in football and bring it into cricket, shaking of the hands before the game and stuff. So it was interesting because they quickly changed back to their old ways again afterwards. So like, I mean, it's not like they
And we didn't see
necessarily
the shaking hands again.
after that. So yeah, what do you have to say about that, Aditya? Because I don't know, like, yeah,
Yeah. Look, I've heard, if you're talking specifically about Australia, I've, 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 I've heard from multiple sources, that since Justin Langer became coach, you know, forget his other drawbacks as being too intense or whatever, but that that really did change the culture of the team. Where they weren't really being as obnoxious as we've known Australian teams to be. Should South Africa play that way? I don't know. Is it in their DNA to play that way? Like, I think you should be true to your temperament, right? Like Mone Mokel never had the sledge of batsman. His height and bounce and pace were good enough to intimidate. That's fine. That brought out the best in him. Uh, Similarly, a guy like Brett Lee, for example, he can give you a bit of a look and all that, but he didn't need to do much. The batsman is already rattled, playing 155 kilometers per hour. So, I I do think you have to be true to your temperament, but at the same time, don't cross the line. I mean, I think Trevor here said that, and a South African player said, "Mate, you can't win. Go home and clean your shoes. You need it in the next game."
I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
that doesn't sound so bad to me.
it's it's unnecessary, I think, more than, but like, yeah, I don't know if that warrants a complaint. I would like to see. I think again, like
But
the
I don't think
communication
that
around
warrants
this
it.
is
That's
so
like,
bad, dude.
yeah, but I mean, that's not that.
I feel, yeah, that's
That's like
fine.
me said.
That's okay.
Like, I mean, I don't think that's that bad. If that was what was said, and it can't be only that.
Yeah, but again, I think the communication around it has to be a bit different, right? Like if you're filing a complaint, you need to tell people why you're complaining and what exactly was said.
Mm. Yeah, that's true.
Because otherwise, everyone's just lying around confused and we're speculating here, right? Like
They
technically,
were.
we
Yeah,
don't
yeah. Continue. I'm reading.
like,
Sorry, I'm pointing because I'm reading.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Like we don't know what's said exactly. So right now
Yeah.
we're just going by what people might have heard, because in the
Exactly.
footage that we've seen, we don't know what's
Mm,
actually going on.
exactly.
So
Because
if
and this
Bangladesh are,
line, this two
Mhm.
words that the captain said, they were saying something. Like, I mean, what?
Yeah, I mean that
They were
you're
saying
always
something,
saying
and he
something.
couldn't say anything back because he's a junior player. So I don't know what they were saying. If it was deplorable and what they were saying. But
Yeah,
it's only natural that they're going to go after the younger player. They always target the younger players in the side first because they are the most vulnerable.
yeah. So I don't know, man. It's a bit strange to me.
Mm.
Even in New Zealand, yeah. See, I do think that, like here in New Zealand, Sarah was chirping Conway while under the lid at Silly Point. Yeah. See, I think sometimes there you can tend to be, I think the apparently the issue was between Sarah and Joe while Joe was batting Sarah under the lid at Silly Point. You could see how they chirped Sarah when he came out to bat in the second innings.
And it worked. They got under
I
his
mean, I think
skin.
it worked for most of the team, right? Like they lost 9 wickets for 90 runs. So
But I mean, even if they're complaining about the chirping, but the chirping, I think that the chirping would have helped him to get that 100 even more. It makes him more
yeah,
hungry. So sometimes chirping can completely take backfire on you. This is an interesting
oh
point.
yeah,
I'm assuming that you're saying Bangladesh should stop crying and focus on. I think that's what you
yeah,
mean on the
yeah.
next test match. Don't just count on the decisions that went against, but also the one that went in your favor.
He's referring to the empires as well.
Mm, yeah. Yes, Bibik saying
Yeah,
Dean should control his team. Sarl is his team. If Sarl is doing things off wrong, SA play a brand of cricket, not the Australia way of cricket.
but
Interesting point.
that's exactly the point that we're making, right? Like we actually don't know what was said,
Yeah,
and and that's where you know another
mm,
another tick in the bad communication log.
yeah, exactly.
It's like I invite you for my birthday party, but I don't tell you when and where it's going to be. You know, There has to be a better way of doing this.
Yeah, of course. And Aditya, answer this one because this is Ungama. I mentioned you in the show. I hope
Mm.
you don't mind that we had a conversation this morning. I didn't say exactly what you said, but here you go. You said it anyway. So, but are we not yet at the standard to be playing that brand? It's too early, I think. Even though we are second on the WTC log. What's your thoughts on that?
Look, I don't know if there's a relationship between sledging and performance. Because if New Zealand perform without having to chirp, it's because that's what brings out the best in them. Similarly, Aussies chirp because that brings out the best in them. I don't think that has anything to do with. I don't know if that has anything to do with like your the standard of cricket that you're playing. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like back in the day, like you look at Indian teams from like the early 2000s. You had like Sachin, Dravid, Patron. They'd never sledge Kumble. They weren't chirping. They were as quiet as people came. So and and they were like scoring what 500 every innings. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think it depends entirely on your performance. Ultimately, the game is about performance.
yeah,
So sometimes you can sledge and sound like a bit of a fool, but yeah.
yeah. PSV saying we need a bit of sledging that makes and keeps the cricket alive, like we had in the 90s and the thousands and 2000s. End of the day, if you have Kohli accusing Supersport of cheating on live TV and it's fine, nobody can complain about us sledging. Just Ginger Josh, you were king. Odgawa saying good luck chirping an England team that includes Broad, Anderson, and Archer this winter. More so if you're Sarl. I mean, we saw how
See,
Josh Butler went after
yeah,
Van Philander. Like,
yeah.
I mean, at that time, England weren't necessarily either a powerhouse, and they were doing it. So I don't necessarily agree with the point that you need to be at a certain level to sledge because everybody sledges, even Zimbabwe. So it doesn't matter what level you're. Sledging happens. It's going
But
to
even
naturally happen because you want to
Josh
try to get
Butler,
an edge in the game.
Josh, Bu- like you look at Josh Butler naturally, he's got a quiet sort of bloke. It's not in his nature to sledge, so he's obviously been told to do that. He's been told to unsettle the opposition. I've never seen Josh Butler sledge Australia. Why would he go after Vernon Philander in an isolated incident, right?
Mm,
It, it's a bit odd to me.
was a bit. It was a bit weird.
Like I've never heard
Bangladesh.
anyone else complain about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Bangladesh taking 20 wickets and they should take that positive, rather focus on finding excuses. I really want to know your program. Our aim should be to change which. Huh? Well, I really want to know why you running your program. Our aim should be to change which we long desire, no old red. I don't know what you're saying, bro. Sorry. Even New Zealand Saddle was chirping Conway while under the lid at Silly Point. Yeah, we said that a little bit earlier on. Gamma, that would be great. That would be great, isn't it? Opener sledging the three English quicks could help the guys coming in next. Alka has said that Saddle never stops talking. It's true, he did say that. We've got Bangladesh should have uh, try to grab it. What they will do against Australia, against England, while Stokes gonna bowl. Um, and Sarl had words in SS second innings as well. So it seems like Sarl's the center of this all of this at the moment. He's just been spoken about in the live chat. So we need to ask him: is Riza playing himself back into the limited overside here? Yeah, possibly. Excellent innings, eh? Excellent innings. I mean, under pressure, final, um, clutch moment. That's important. Knock for Riza and good for his form going forward. Um, Sledging is fair game when the opposition dishes it out first. I don't see anything wrong with chirping. It's part of the game as long as it's not getting personal. Yeah. I mean, let's not take it over the line. And that's why I'm worried because I don't. South Africa has always played have kind of stayed in the lines. And this, you saw that video of Zimbabwe versus South Africa when Mark Boucher was sledging behind the wicket. That was getting hectic. So sledging has been in South Africa's nature, I guess, in the past and over the years. I mean, we maybe just never heard it because there were no stump mics to really pick it up. Sledging is a vital part of the game. This designated to put pressure, erode confidence, and attempt to break concentration. If you don't like sledging, don't watch cricket, especially not Test cricket. Even people in the in gully cricket, people, um, even in gully cricket, people sledge and chirp. Markram sledges himself and gets. Stop that, Keith. Plus, it keeps your mates around, you engaged and laughing, and builds team spirit while standing in the field. Um, so yeah, interesting point. I think that I would like to actually know whether they went over the line or not. I do think that slinging should be allowed, no matter where you are. It's to give yourself an edge and to put the opposition off. Just don't go too personal over the line. I think that things got a little bit heated and a bit too personal between South Africa and Australia the last time out. I don't want to see that occur maybe again. Or maybe I do because a ball tampering scandal like that will do great for the channel and for the site, but I don't want to see that in cricket again. Even though it will be good for us. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. There are a couple of things that I want to speak about as well. And that is Bangladesh have a selection problem with fast bowlers Taskin Ahmed and Shorful Islam having returned home with injuries, and all-rounder Shakib Al Hasan again unavailable. Opening batsman Tajmin Iqbal missed the first test, but because of illness, and is likely to return to strengthen the lineup. Now that's a massive boost, I feel, for Bangladesh. Cool. Thanks a lot, Aditya, for coming on the show. He's gonna eat out sweet dreams. Sleep well. I'll continue with this with the rest of the guys over here. Check it tomorrow. Okay, so yeah, so that's interesting. There's a lot of guys that have there are people that have been added. I mean, not people. Iqbal has been added into the team, and he's a very talented batter. And I'm a little bit worried about that because that's going to cause problems for South Africa. I read a couple of articles as well about the pitch, and I just want to read your comments out. Ken Boland wrote a story today on City Press. I think it's City Press or the Citizen. I don't know what one it is. It's one of the two. And he said, and this quotes from the groundsman from St. George's. He says St. George's Park has had the reputation for being low and slow, but this wicket is looking very sporty. Although we are still a few days out from the test, we are aware of what South Africa want, so there won't be too many surprises. But there is a lot of grass still on the pitch. Local opinion among the players is that if it seems, it also spins. Interesting points. So South Africa have made it aware to the groundsman on what type of pitch they want. Very good point. Very good quotes. So if he's going to create a pitch that can seam and spin, then South Africa, it's going to be a really good contest because I feel that both sides are going to be really, it's going to be really good. So South Africa's got a team that can balance the team quite well, and it's going to be interesting. So we had the discussion last night as well about Simon Harmer coming into this team as maybe an extra, as an all-rounder maybe, and perhaps. And we had a couple of teams, but we will talk about that tomorrow on tomorrow's show as well. We will do a preview of the second test and speak about that as well. Let's get into some of the comments. Also, Deva Brevis today. Good debut for him, a solid debut. I wouldn't say that it's magnificent, but it was a good solid debut for us and the world to see what he's capable of on a larger scale against top players. I mean, the way he played against Umesh Kamans and as well. That no-look six as well was exceptional. So we wrote a small little piece in summary about his innings. It's on the site, so go ahead and look at that. It was a good start to his IPL career, I think, at least. So let's go through some more of your comments, guys. Could we see Abbott Rousseau in the Proteas squad like Oliver and Armour? Any update on that? No, I don't think that either will. I don't think Abbott will. Abbott hasn't necessarily been putting on great performances recently for the Rocks when he's gotten an opportunity. So um, I don't know if Abbott is a asset anymore. He has lost a bit of pace, so I don't think we'll see him back. Riley Rousseau is an interesting one. I'm not quite sure whether they're going to look his way. They should consider him. I think the way his form has been recently, and if he wants to play for South Africa, maybe give him a shot, especially in the T20 arena. So let's see what happens there. But there hasn't been no updates on that yet. Sarah needs to be careful here. He might find himself in hot water. You will say something which will incriminate him. Yeah, interesting. Pouch to Taibu. What's your average? Nine, 9.5. I'll give you 10. Don't worry. Wow. Test cricket is a long game, so sledging is good to keep the fielding team fired up. BSV today's show went waste. Bangladeshis are making time pass and wasting others' time. I think a lot of people actually commenting here, so it was actually a good discussion to have. The way people are commenting on this particular post or on social media, it seems like it was a good decision to go with this. I'm sorry, BSV. In innings when Raheem got out in the is after nicking Dean and Sarl said something for sure because Raheem didn't walk off. Khalid and the Pavlin should play ahead of Olivier and Mulder in the second test. I would really like to see Zondo in the last test. Interesting that you do, because an extra batter would be something that we were talking about earlier on, and maybe having an extra batter instead of Mulder wouldn't be such a bad option. It depends on the pitch and it depends on the conditions. If it is a little bit more spinner friendly, then obviously having to see a spinners is going to be the case. But I highly doubt them not picking two spinners. It's going to be between a seamer or a batter that they're going to pick for that position now. Via Mills' position, if they're going to drop him. I would like to see Shakib. How is a better do well against Shakib and Miraz? Unfortunately, Shakib will not be in the second test, like I've announced earlier on. The Pavilion for Olivier, he says, drop Vian for Zondo. That would be the option, in my opinion, if they're going to pick anybody else. Get Deval into the squad already. Like, I think he should be in the T20 squad. I think if he's performing like this against some of the best players in the world and he's looking so confident and he's coming out there with so much confidence, if he has a good IPL campaign, they shouldn't even think twice. I think Deval needs to get straight into that team. Stubbs as well. Good one, Dix. Stubbs and Brevis in the T20 squad to India. This is just June. In India this June, not in the 11 in the squad. Not in the 11. You're saying interesting. I wouldn't mind them in the squad as well to learn as well. That would be good. David should be considered for the upcoming T20 series. Bangladesh has played better versus South Africa in South Africa than India. Why India lost? South Africa played well against India. We came to the party. I don't necessarily agree though, because India didn't get bowled out for 56 or 53 or whatever the case may be. Lorenzo giving his team again. Keep your team for tomorrow, Lorenzo. We've spoken about David Bedingham yesterday. I'm not going to say it again. There is an article on our site to speak to you about David Bedingham. When do you think Devil Players can break into the Proteas setup? Also, which is the likely format he would be selected? I think T20 first. I think T20 and ODI is white ball cricket. I don't think he's ready to make the step up into test of no ways. He hasn't even played 4-day cricket yet, not even one game. So he needs to play 4-day cricket first before he gets anywhere near the test team, I feel. We haven't seen enough of him to be able to make a judgment just based on his white ball game. We still have one spot left in the T20 11. Question is, who's going to fill that spot? Faf, Rousseau, Stubbs, Ferreira, Klassen. All of them should be considered. Definitely. India lost against a far better team, though. Khalid, this 8 shows is actually working. Eh? Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying this 8 o'clock shows. You guys must let me know in the live chat if you want me to stick to the 8 o'clock show. You want me to move back to 7 o'clock. Let me know. It's really up to you guys. I'll let me put a vote on a poll and put it up, and you guys can vote. I'm going to put one on Twitter. I'm going to put one on Instagram, and I'll put one on YouTube as well for you guys to vote. And let's see what you guys think. If you prefer the 8 o'clock show, you prefer the 7 o'clock show, and let's see what happens in the future. How's your friend Hamza? He recovered COVID. Well, the ICC suspension should be lifted for him. I don't know. I'm trying. I contacted him. He's not talking, so I think at the moment he just wants to be left alone. I'll maybe try to give him a call sometime unexpectedly. Maybe then he'll pick up. Khalid is going to be 100% capacity crowd allowed at PE. I think it's only 50%. It's not 100% crowd yet. We better put Dewald into the squad before he gets snatched up by other nations. Like he won't. He won't. I don't think he will. I don't think Dewald's in the same. Will be in the same boat as David Bellingham. I don't even think that Dewald has an ancestral passport either. So, and I don't think that he will be snatched up by another nation. I think Dewald is artist in South Africa. He wants to. I think he wants to play for South Africa. I'm hoping. Cross fingers. That's always been my vibe that I've got from him. Do you think Bangladesh misread the conditions in the first test? I really don't know what happened in that second innings. It baffled me. I really thought that they would be on top of us. That if there was any chance for South Africa to get into the game, it would be on day 5. I never expected them to go 3 down towards the end of the innings. Like I honestly never thought that would happen. So it did confuse me. I do think that Bangladesh is going to come a lot harder at us in the second test. I think they're going to be a lot more prepared. And if the whole thing about the sledging is correct, they're going to come a lot harder at us. They're going to come out with a fight. We saw how they fought against New Zealand in the first test away. So they are capable, guys. We mustn't underestimate Bangladesh ever. I don't rate Bangladesh as the same team as they were a couple of years ago. I'm seeing a lot of talent in this team, a lot of dangerous players that can really take a game away from you. I just think they need to get into that mode. And I think the second test is going to be a tough one. During in the series, SA pitches did not help spinners. How come this spinner-friendly pitch or Bangladesh played badly? Durban in the recent times have been spinner friendly. We're talking about completely different cities in South Africa. That's why there's a completely different conditions, of course, and that's why you'll see different spinning conditions. Obviously, at the Wanderers and at Centurion and at Newlands, than you will see at Durban and PU, which are the two slowest tracks probably from one of the two of the slowest tracks from the big stadiums, other than Potch and Bloem, etc. But Durban and St. George's are two. So apparently, like I said in the quotes, Joburg has a reputation for being a low and slow pitch. But apparently, the groundsman has prepared a lot more grass on the pitch and it's looking a lot more competitive. So I'm going to predict a very, very equal test in the match. I don't think it's going to be a clear-cut match from a South African perspective. I do think South Africa are going to have to work very, very, very hard to win this test match and the series. Bangladesh should focus more on taking their catches than to play umpiring decisions and sledging. Got bowled out for 53, so only total would have been irrelevant going by their second innings batting. Lazard, in my opinion, is better with more energy. Lazard, for me, has more X factor than who? Sorry, I missed the one before. Luto as in the pecking order before Lizard. I think Luto could come in for Dwan Olivier actually. Luto or any of 3 of those, I'll be happy with. I'm not actually bothered which one starts between Darren de Pavlon, Luto Sapamla, and Clinton Stearman. I particularly do think, though, that Luto deserves the opportunity more because he's done extremely well this season in 4-day cricket, and he's done extremely well when he's got an opportunity in Test cricket. So, because he has Test experience already, I would always feel more comfortable giving a guy that's already had Test experience an opportunity than giving a guy that hasn't had Test experience, of course. Is Justin Antang going to work on this? Justin Antang must work on all the fielding. That's what we're going to need. The Pavlon, we need proper gas. Good point. The Pavlon hasn't necessarily been in the best of form of his life recently for the Dolphins in the 4-day arena, but the pace could help. It would be interesting to see him play, but I do think that they'll probably go with this experience over it. If SA decides to go with 2 spinners going forward, then Newlands, Bloem, and P should be the venues. Interesting. To keep... Bloem. I mean, so many runs are going to be scored on Bloem's wickets. Your thoughts on George van Heerden? I like George van Heerden's mentality, his ability. I saw flashes of him in the World Cup that showed me, oh, this boy, there's a player in here. With George van Heerden, I feel though, I think domestic cricket 2 or 3 years is going to get him right. I think he needs to go and play domestic cricket as much as possible. Try to get a Division One team, get into the team, and get selected and go that route. I don't think he's done enough. He hasn't necessarily lit up the world like a Dewald Brevis did to automatically get into international side. Not that I think that you are suggesting that either. Is there any reservations of for black people for selecting South African squad? I don't know what you mean. Are you asking if there's any targets? Khalid, why Yanaman isn't with the Rocks in the One Day Cup? It could be an injury. I'm not 100% sure. I can find out for you and I'll tell you tomorrow. I'll try to find out for you and I'll try to tell you tomorrow, Dex. Is unstable batting order might be the slip catch drop reason. Every time the slip fields keep changing. Is Ethan Bosch on the selectors' radar? Need to have to actually talk to the selectors and ask them that. Thoughts on Riza Snock? I want to try and get Victor Mpasang alive, but I don't think he's going to say yes because he knows how Lawrence and Lorenzo and Bibik and all of you, Dex and all of you guys are going to sledge him and maybe come after him. So I don't think he's going to want to come. I don't think he's going to want to come live on the show. Imagine that. If I can, guys, if I get Victor Ipasang on a live show with us on our daily show, everybody must go around and become a Patreon, please, because that would be a proper achievement if I can manage that. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell for all future videos. Also, oh wait, Lorenzo, yes, Macania has elevated. Moving to the Titans has elevated Macania. I want to give a shout out to Sibs Macania. Excellent performance today. Corbin Bosch, excellent performance today as well with a bat. I want to push that as well because they were excellent. So Sibs Macania has been excellent, taking the leading role, captaining with a bat, doing excellently. And don't forget, he has a little bit of overs in him too. He can bowl too. So an interesting one. Although he's been focusing on his batting, he's been focusing on his batting. Although we'll see. We'll see what happens. Get Bravik on, man. We'll be civil. I will have to warn you guys beforehand. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment, share, subscribe, click that notification bell for all future videos. Don't forget to download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine. The link is on the screen and in the description. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. Also, don't forget to become a Patreon today. That's how you join our community. You kind of your way of investing into our company. With the Patreon account, the more patrons we get, the more exclusive content we can do down the line. It won't be worthwhile for me to do for 5 patrons alone only exclusive content. It would be much more engaging and more worth your guys' while if there's more people in the live chats involved with that, because we'll be doing exclusive live videos for our patrons only that will be behind the scenes. So no one else will be able to see that content. It might even be a little bit more free-flowing. We will be able to talk more expressively. I think it won't be as clean, maybe as PG-13 either. We're probably going to have a lot of debates and fights on the show behind the scenes on private live chats. So we have a lot more freedom to obviously talk and get into nitty-gritty stuff. But we need to first get that Patreon mark to about 20 subscribers, guys. If we can get 20 patrons, then I think I will start doing it. Also, remember, we're going to start the join button on this. We might even replace the Patreon account with a join button, but we're still discussing. There's a lot of work that needs to be done on this whiteboard behind me. We have to plan and see which one is the best option for us. We'll see, and we'll keep you guys updated. But thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys tomorrow for the preview show. Get your teams ready, guys, for tomorrow. I would like you to see what you guys' teams are in the live chat. So get your teams in the chat tomorrow. But without further ado, guys, that's me for the night. I'm gonna watch some Champions League football. Chelsea's playing Real Madrid tonight. So it's gonna be an interesting clash. And I'm gonna do some relaxing before we have a full day of work again tomorrow. So guys, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace. Take care.